fought with people by your side. Getting screened is the first step.
Cancer Society, welcome to Crucial Catch Live, presented by Sleep Number. The NFL and the American Cancer Society have partnered together since 2009 to address cancer disparities, prevention, and risk reduction. Along with educating the public about the importance of prevention and early detection, Crucial Catch raises funds to help community health centers and health systems in under-resourced areas to increase access to cancer screenings. Since 2012, NFL funding has contributed to over 650,000 cancer screenings and has reached more than 1.2 million individuals who cannot otherwise afford access to these resources. We are very thankful and excited to have Sleep Number as a new NFL Crucial Catch partner this season. Sleep Number has teamed up with the NFL and ACS to present the Defender, an online tool that allows fans to find their local screening resources, schedule their screening reminders, have access to a 24-hour hotline and chat, and take the Defender quiz to learn ways to reduce their cancer risk. We encourage everyone in this room to visit nfl.com/crucialcatch by scanning the QR code that you found in your seat to find your local cancer screening resources. Today, we are here to do a deeper dive into cancer disparities, specifically as it relates to prostate cancer and men's health in Black men. We hope you take away the importance of risk reduction and prioritizing cancer screening, as early detection can save your life. Thank you again for being here on behalf of the NFL, the American Cancer Society, and Sleep Number. And now I will turn it over to ESPN's Brian Custer, who is moderating tonight's panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, good evening. Good evening. I am Brian Custer from ESPN, sports broadcaster, and a 10-year prostate cancer survivor. 10 years. Thank you. By the way, if you would indulge me for a moment, I just wanted to take a look here around the room. If there is anybody right now who is battling cancer, maybe it be prostate cancer or any cancer at all, would you stand if you've been battling cancer? How about that? Keep standing for me. Keep standing. Is there anyone in this room who you know that has battled cancer, whether it be a friend, whether it be a work colleague, whether it be a family member? Would you please stand? Wow. Lastly, is there anyone who's had family member, friend, colleague who passed away from cancer? Would you please stand as well? I just want everyone to just take a look around this room right now, because thus is the reason why this night is important. This disease affects everyone, and someone you know, someone you love, has either battled this disease or is battling this disease. That's why we're here. Thank you very much. You can have a seat. You know, right now, prostate cancer is the most common cancer among men here in the United States, other than skin cancer. It is the second leading cause of death when you talk about cancers. That's how important this night is when we talk about prostate cancer. For the past decade, the numbers had gone down, but recently, those numbers have gone up, skyrocketing. Black men now have a 70% higher incident when you talk about contracting prostate cancer. 1 out of 8 men in their lifetime will be diagnosed with prostate cancer. 1 in 6 men of color will be diagnosed with prostate cancer, and we're twice as likely to die from it. That's why tonight is important. That's why I'm thankful for Sleep Number, for the American Cancer Society and the National Football League, and Crucial Catch Live. Because now, tonight, we're going to try to talk about some of these challenges. We're going to raise some awareness, hopefully reverse some of these trends that are going on with a very candid conversation. I got some NFL players. I got some legends here with me. I got a medical expert here with me. And of course, all of you who are here for Super Bowl 58. And we're going to get into this. Let me introduce this panel here. To my left is Dr. Robert Wynn, American Cancer Society board member. You know, he is just the second Black oncologist to lead an NCI Cancer Center. Dr. Wynn, right here. As a kid, I used to watch this guy, and you want to talk about a football legend. We got ourselves here a Hall of Famer, Super Bowl champion. Listen, Vegas, he's one of your own because he's a former member of those Raiders, Mike Haynes. Next to Mike, we've got a man who, former running back for the New York Giants. He was in Jacksonville at one point. He was with the Raiders when they were in Oakland. But most of y'all know him more for Dancing with the Stars. We walked over here, look, look at them hips. Look at them hips. Rashad Jennings, everybody. And this man next to Rashad, member of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He was the Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. He's American Cancer Society Player Ambassador of the Year. I mean, you talk about guys who get after it on that defensive line. He does it. He's the very talented Mr. Will Golston from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. In Vegas, one of your own, running back from Las Vegas Raiders, more importantly, cancer survivor and American Cancer Society Player Ambassador, Mr. Brandon Bolden there at the very end. Doc, let me start with you because you're our medical expert here. We talked about the numbers. 1 in 8 men probably be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their life. 1 in 6 black men. I guess the question people really want to know is, why are we, as black men, at more risk of developing prostate cancer? And why are the numbers going up? And what is the American Cancer Society doing to help address this?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you, and I want to thank this panel. But most of all, I want to thank the NFL and the American Cancer Society and Sleep Number and all this for having this.
Yeah.
Here's the deal. The issue is since 1974, you've had twice as many black men die from prostate cancer than their white colleagues. In 2024, it's the same. Now, the issue is, what are we doing? And people sort of say to myself, they lose hope. And I'm saying, well, let's keep your eye on the ball. First of all, part of this issue was that we didn't know really what we were doing at some point. We thought we had worked out the details around screening. And then what we said is that when you look at everybody, well, screening for prostate didn't make any sense. When I was in Chicago, here's what I found. That on the 20th Ward, for people who don't know the 20th Ward, that's Southside Chi-Town, Bernie Mac, Derrick Rose, maybe that'll help you out. One of the most poorest areas of Chicago had 3 times more people dying from prostate cancer, not only in the rest of the state of Illinois, but in the United States. And yet, our screening said, don't do it. I think we've become smarter over time. And so I think that what you'll see is that the numbers have spiked, but I think as we get serious about our health and screening, I think hopefully those numbers will come back down. And by the way, we got things now that we didn't have back in the day to treat you, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Why is getting checked early and early detection so important?
That's, you know what? Every time I hear that question, it's like, I mean, other people, it's a surprise. I'm like, this is the one thing that if you catch it early, you can live.
Yes.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Now, you know, I got brothers and stuff like that come to me sometimes, be like, oh man, I don't want to get that digital record. I'm like, man, come on, please. Now, I know you done had, look, I don't want to do it to you either. But at the same time, but if we, look, let's just, it ain't like that's my day is going to be made. No, it ain't. But the reality is with the PSA and the digital exam, just a simple exam that may only take less than a minute could save your life. And so what I say to people is, what's the price of your life?
I love that. I love that. Listen, do you realize just in the past 2 weeks, we've had some notable men die of prostate cancer. Dexter King, the youngest son of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., died 2 weeks ago. He was 62 from prostate cancer. Joe Madison, a radio legend, Hall of Famer, died just this week. From what? Prostate cancer. So important when you talk about the detection early. I was just 42 when I got diagnosed with prostate cancer. I was in the best shape of my life, was going to the doctor every single year. It was a shock to me that I had it. And mine was so aggressive. The first thing I said, and when Doc told me, I gotta get you in surgery now. I was like, Doc, can I take a pill? Give me a drink, something. I don't wanna do any kind of surgery. He said, okay, fantastic. I'm just gonna tell you, if it don't work, you'll be dead within a year. That's how aggressive it can be and why early detection is so important and why I'm standing here talking to you right now. Sitting, but alive. You've had it, Mike. Talk to us about how did you get the detection? Did you have signs? Did you have any symptoms at all?
Well, I was totally unaware of the symptoms. I wouldn't know what a symptom was. No one ever talked to me about symptoms. I never met a person that had prostate cancer or died from prostate cancer. But every year at the Pro Football Hall of Fame, we do screenings. And at a screening is when a doctor, I was next, I went in and he said, hey, does prostate cancer run in your family? I'm going, I don't think so, I don't know. All right, well, let's get this done. And so that was the first time I'd ever had a conversation with a doctor about prostate cancer, first time I'd ever been screened for prostate cancer. And that's where actually I found out I had it. My PSA number was pretty high, and they said, hey, we're gonna, check you and see what's going on. And that's what it started for me. And I was 55, and and I realized that maybe black men just didn't talk about prostate cancer. Like a lot of my friends, I shouldn't say black men, I should say all my friends, black and white friends, didn't talk about it, And then one of the reasons I thought the reason they didn't talk about it is because they couldn't get an erection if they had the surgery back in those days. And so if their wife was a beautiful lady, they didn't want all these guys knowing that she hasn't had sex in a while since he's had cancer or had the surgery. So they keep it quiet. So later, I had it, I found out I had it, I had the surgery, and fortunately I found out when I didn't realize I had symptoms, because later, once I had it and I knew I had it, I started talking to guys about some of the symptoms, and I'm going, dang, man, we need to talk more. We need to educate people, make people more aware of this. And I would say, yeah, man, I've been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and a guy would look around and say, hey, man, I got it too. People didn't want to talk about it. So I'm really glad that you guys are in the room here and that we're up here now, and things have really changed. There's a real commitment to educating people about some of the symptoms so that if you do have it, they can catch it early when it's easily treatable.
What Mike talked about is real. You know, again, when I got diagnosed, I had just turned 42. I was in shock because the only thing I really knew about prostate cancer at that time, I was like, isn't this something like my grandfather is supposed to have? Or how the hell do I have it at 42? And I wasn't trying to tell nobody. I didn't want to tell anybody. And I almost felt ashamed that I even got it. And I remember the doctor who performed surgery on me. Look, back in the day, they used to cut you from here right down the way down there. But now, I mean, they have the robotic arm surgery. You get a good doctor, you're good. And touch your nerves, you're great. But I was so embarrassed because I thought, like you said, I probably won't get an erection anymore. Oh my God, my life is over. I'm gonna be sterile. And then I remember the doc who performed my surgery said, Brian, I'm gonna save your life, but I need you to use your platform to tell everybody about this disease and what it's doing to men of color. And I looked at him like he had 3 eyes. I was like, man, I'm not telling nobody nothing. I'm keeping this to myself. And he said, so in other words, I'm gonna save your life and you don't wanna save someone else's. That night, I knew, I said, well, once I have this surgery, I gotta go public and do whatever I can to get the word out to men, to talk to them. Because I was scared. I didn't know I couldn't talk. I didn't know if I should talk to anybody. I didn't really have anybody to talk to. And that's why I've used my platform to be very open about it and to talk to anybody who's had it. Well, I know your mother has had to deal with cancer. Father, uncles have had to deal with prostate cancer, passed away from it. Can you enlighten these people and just talk to them about the importance of having honest conversations within your family about getting checked?
Well, yeah, those conversations started when my uncle passed away with my father, which actually motivated him to get screened. So, excuse me. I remember one of the first conversations we had about it, he was talking to me, said, hey, let's let the doctor, you know, he got his check. He made a joke about it, but it was so serious. When he got checked and screened, they caught his cancer at stage 4, and it had already started metastasizing to his spine. So it was pretty grim in the house, but we tried to take all the steps, all the measures. And I asked him, I want to say, he stayed with me the whole season, and he left like a couple weeks towards the end. I asked him before he was going back to Detroit to see the family. I said, why didn't you get checked before? He's like, nah, man, you know, I was good. I've been healthy. You seen me this whole time. Basically the same thing you was telling me. And like when you say it, it just, a light bulb pops in my head. Like, man, my dad was healthy. We did everything. Like, he wouldn't have known at all. So I appreciate you saying that for people to know. So I asked him why didn't he get screened. He said, I was healthy as an ox, man. You see me this whole time. And it's not the same type of conversation. It's a way more emotional conversation that we're having at the moment. And I asked him, you sure you want to go back? He said, yeah, I gotta see everybody else, let them know I'm okay. So went back. I dislocated my elbow playing against Dallas Cowboys. I flew back home to see him, like, hey, man, I'm not playing. He cool. He's, at the time, laying down in the bed, about to be transferred to hospice. And I want to say, like 10 days later, it was over. So it's a journey, it's a conversation that I wish we would have had younger. I know I lost my uncle, but if he was just comfortable enough to do it, to go get screened, to not, you know, like where I'm from the hood, so it's a stereotype going to see a doctor.
Yes.
You know, I know everybody can see that, you know. It's a stereotype going to the doctor not gonna get you right. So if he was comfortable enough to have the conversation and did those steps, if he had all of the resources that we have now, I feel like he'll be here today.
You know, it's funny you say that, and this is real stuff. I have an older brother who's only 3 years older than me. Do you know my older brother has not gone to the doctor in over 20 years? Even everything I've gone through, his response to that, if I got it, I got it. I don't want to know that I got it. This is real when you talk about going to the doctor, just men, for some reason. I feel good. Why do I need to go to the doctor? And Will and I had an honest conversation because we were talking about prostate cancer. Listen, they call it the silent killer for a reason. Because for a lot, people think that, oh, you're going to have problems urinating and this. No, you're not. For a lot of people, no. You don't know that those signs and symptoms don't come until it's too late. Until it's too late. So that's why early detection is so important. And it goes back to you, Doc. Why? Why do you think men have this issue when it comes to getting screened and going to the doctor?
Yeah, I think it's a couple-fold. One, I think you brothers have been talking a little bit about this issue about thinking that you, just because you feel well, you good. That's crazy. By the way, it doesn't work that way with biology. Second, people worry about their manhood. Look, as somebody, I don't see no 90-year-olds walking around, but so at some point it's gonna happen.
Right.
So, that's another piece of biology that we just have to grip as men. But the why is that I think it's not just culturally, it's how we also feel uncomfortable within doctors' offices, how we talk about these issues too. Somebody said to me the other day that if I have prostate cancer, man, look, I just want to go out. And I said, well, that's the craziest thing you said, because if you have prostate cancer, you can get another 30, 40 up years, right, seeing your grandchildren. So what sense does that even make? It's the fear of what I'm going to do to you, or doctor's going to do to you in the office. Straight up, we just trying to do the job. But the reality is, when you get the numbers, it's interesting because it was my family secrets kill. So for example, for me, I had uncles who died from prostate and other cancer. I was like, oh, he died from what? And then at the end of the day, when it was almost a scare, you're like, oh, so why don't we talk about that? We didn't talk about that because we have this crazy idea that if you don't talk about it, it ain't gonna happen. It's like COVID. If you don't say the word COVID, it's like some Candyman back in the day, them old, you know what I'm saying? Don't say the name, but whether you say the name or not, it's coming for you. And so the biology is, when prostate in particular, prostate is a thing of aging. If you're African American, if you have a family history, which most of us don't know,
Yep.
and as you get in your fourth, fifth, sixth decades, that's the risks.
Yeah.
And so there ain't gonna be no symptoms that smack you up on the head until it's too late.
And for those when they talk about the erection stuff, listen, I mean, one thing when you do with prostate cancer, look, you get prescriptions to Cialis, Viagra, all of that type of stuff. Listen, I got cousins who in their 30s, they already got erectile dysfunction stuff coming to me about, yo, can I get some of that Viagra? That Cialis, I know you got some. They ain't got no prostate cancer.
And by the way, who's my creative, man?
Right.
I mean, at some point, where's the creativity?
Brandon, I got to talk to you because no, I'm not talking about the Cialis. I know you good. Don't worry about that. But if you need some, I can give you some.
You the plug.
My question to you is your cancer story, because this is unbelievable. You find out while you're playing that you had cancer. Enlighten the people about what happened.
We were playing the New York Jets. Let me backtrack. Back in 2014, before we went to the Super Bowl, we were playing the Indianapolis Colts. We were running a punt return down, and I'm a special teams player, so as you guys know, the grunt work, I take all of it. So it's not a funny story. We had a player tell one of our players, called him out of his name. That particular player doesn't cuss, he doesn't fight, he's L7 square, but I love him to death. He came to me upset, and that was the first time I heard him curse and the last time I heard him curse. And he was like, you won't believe what just happened. Say less. Ran down, and we was just running like a regular right return, where the end just kind of wraps around. I was wrapping around, and as I'm running to go block, and I was like, that's exactly who it was. I dove from like 6 feet away. Crushed the guy. I'm not gonna lie to you. He retired. He's in the NFLPA. He's doing fine. So that happens, and my don't even know what rib it is, but the second rib from the very top, that's dislocated, shoulders parts are dislocated. They said they think I fractured my jaw. Now, the funny part about telling me that you think means you don't see it, which means, like you said, if you don't talk about it, it never existed. I just walked around for the rest of the year holding my jaw in place until we got to the Super Bowl. We won the following season. I started to get this lump, and I got the bright idea, I don't want to tell nobody about this. Like, I don't know how long I'm going to be playing football. I'm going to just grow a beard. So I grew a beard. A thick one, too. Like, you couldn't tell. The only people who knew was really my wife and my son, because he was young. He's old enough to remember before I had my beard. So boom, fast forward to 2017, I'm sorry. We playing the Jets just to make it into the playoffs. One of the D tackle got loose, 3 technique made a knife, and he caught me like right in the neck. That might have been the first time in my career where I ever thought about just fumbling the ball before I hit the ground. Like, I'm about to throw this as far as I can because I was in that much pain. And boom, finish the game, go talk to our trainers. They was like, yeah, we're going to send you to get a biopsy. So do the biopsy. They was like, hey, when do you want the results? I was like, y'all can tell me when the season over with because we're in the playoffs. We had make it to the Super Bowl. We lost to the Eagles. Lost, dealing with that, get home, just sitting in the driveway, just enjoying being back in Baton Rouge. And the phone goes off, doctor's like, hey, we think we found something, but we need you to come back and do another biopsy. Went and took the second biopsy, and the nurse that was actually doing it was my son's classmate's mom. So after we do that, the whole school knew I had cancer before I knew I had cancer. Like, my son knew I had cancer before I did. And so have that conversation with him after, he's got to hear the horror stories before I can even tell him. So I got to put out that fire, and then I got to turn around and tell my wife. And I couldn't deal with both of them, so I sit her down, tell her this is what we're going to do, and, she, whatever you need me to do, whatever we're doing it. Yeah. So as she would say, if I'm rocking, she's rolling. So the hardest part for me was calling Bill. I had to call Bill Belichick and tell him, like, hey, I don't know if I'm going to make it next season because I got cancer. And, everybody knows the horror story. Bill is not an easy person. Like, one to make smile, so if you can tell him you're not showing up for work, that's another, So, it was a simple process, though. Went up in Mass, they have real good doctors, went to Mass Eye and Ear, and they simply told me, it was like, where it is, it's on a nerve, and if you do the surgery, you're gonna lose, we're guaranteed you're gonna lose function in your face. We don't know if it's getting back, but you could lose your shoulder as well. And I looked at my wife, and she knows me, because I started laughing as soon as the doctor said that, and I was like, well, I won't be half as ugly with just half a face, so it could work. And I'm left-handed anyway, so the right shoulder, who needs it? Went, had surgery, woke up, and like, she's crying. My kids like looking at me laughing. I have no idea. I'm fresh out of surgery, so I'm groggy. But 2 days later, when they finally pulled that catheter out, it was like, yeah, you go ahead and walk around. And I saw the mirror. If y'all haven't noticed, I'm a jokester, so like, don't mind me. I look like Two-Face from the Batman cartoon because I couldn't close this eyelid. So this eye was like cocked up here. This was down here. I had no cheekbone, so it was just, and it's like I went to the bathroom, stopped, looked, went back into the bathroom like I didn't see that. And went back in the mirror, and I just went and sat in the bed, and my wife was just looking, and was like, could have told me. I looked like I got hit by a brick on one side. And she was like, oh, I thought you knew, and da-da-da-da. She was like, yeah, you was in surgery for 9 hours, huh?
Wow.
They told me 2. She said, no, you was in surgery for 9 hours. All right. So what else don't work? She's like, so we went through the whole thing, ended up having to get a piece of platinum stuck in my eye, and hope and pray. Then I got a nice little scar, and I'm missing a piece of my skull back here. So like getting fitted for the new helmets and stuff, nightmare. It sucks. None of my helmets fit. There's always this gap right here. But like I fought, and the crazy thing is I went back to work and talked to Bill, and first thing, how you doing? How you feeling? What would you do differently? I would have got checked a lot sooner. Because at this point, again, I'm a jokester. At this point, I'm talking to Bill and like, I'm hiding my face because he doesn't know. And then so when I move my hand, he kind of, It's like, yeah, so, you know, I was like, it's a good thing I wear a helmet for a living. He just laughed with me. And unfortunately that year, I got released for a little bit to put a kid on the IR. And, you know, stuff didn't go how it was supposed to, so I ended up spending that season in Miami, getting tested and stuff out there, which was also great. But the coolest part about it, what made it easier to go play, none of my teammates talked to me about it. None of the coaches hounded me, hey, you okay? Like my guys had checked on me, but I didn't have anybody like on my back making me regret my decisions of not doing this or doing this at a certain time. So like, my story is not just me, it's all those involved, coaches, teammates, you know, families, everybody that was there, because I didn't want to talk about it publicly. And what was that? In 21 is when I first started talking about it. And because when I found out I had it, like you said, I was ashamed.
Yeah.
I was like, how?
Yeah.
I just played in the Super Bowl, literally. And again, it can happen to anybody.
The important thing is, what I took from that is when you said, if I would have done anything differently, would have gotten checked. That's the key, early detection. You know, usually for most of us, Rashad, who had cancer and battled cancer, the one thing once you get past the battle, the doctor tell you is, okay, lifestyle change. You're gonna have to change your lifestyle. You're gonna have to eat differently. You need to have and that is right in your wheelhouse, because you have always been all about a healthy lifestyle. Tell us, you know, why has that been so important to you? And I guess, how can we, you know, have that healthier lifestyle?
Yeah, for sure. Well, one, I guess, is a running back thing, because I'm a jokester too. So, about health and fitness, I had asthma, and I remember going to the doctor, and one of the things they said that you're gonna have to do is start eating right, exercising, and getting your rest. Then another time I got sick, went to the doctors, they said, for a complete different reason. They said, you're gonna have to start eating right, you gotta start exercising, you got to rest well. My dad, diabetic, they told him he gonna have to exercise, eat right, and sleep right. So I was like, you know what? Bump the hospital, I'm gonna just exercise, I'm gonna eat right, and to stay out of it. So, but then, you know, fast forward, like this conversation is very unique to me. I love listening to people talk, and while I'm hearing everybody share their stories, I'm hearing an analogy coming together. I analogize everything as how I comprehend. And so the best analogy I can hear, because I'm hearing about screening, getting tested, it's a silent killer, so nobody knows, and it doesn't show symptoms. And earlier outside, you said that the signs and symptoms will show too late. And so for me, I look at this as a battery effect. And it's something y'all can take with you and analogize it so you can and will go get tested and tell somebody else. So if I have a battery, right, standard, say like I got a remote, and I'm watching TV, and I change the channel. Now the battery's completely full. I change the channel. It changes the channel at the same speed every time I press channel up. So I'm getting no indication that the battery is getting weaker. Years and months, whatever it is, that battery is now 50%. I hit that channel up button, guess what? No indicator, same speed. It's at 1%. I hit channel up, changes at the same speed. It's not until that thing dies that now you're concerned about it. And this is the same thing I'm hearing about getting screening and prostate cancer and a lot of these things. We have to check our battery. And the beautiful thing about our phones is if you put it on a percentage, it tells you where it's at, 99, 48, mine's usually on 1% anyway. But the beauty of that is you are aware, and you said awareness. We have to make ourselves very aware of our surroundings and also our bodies. It's on you to get screened and tested, and it's not just for you. You affect everybody else around you. And so that is one of the reasons why I'm very conscious about my health and my fitness. And I say this, I look at life backwards, not in a morbid way at all, but we all will experience death. And I want to be able to leave a legacy for my family to chase and follow. And the only way I can do that is be very conscious of the decisions I make while I'm here. And health is one of them.
Love it. Doc, I know we need to wrap this up. You know, when you talk about this partnership between the NFL, the American Cancer Society, what are they doing proactively here to address what we've discussed here tonight?
Sure. I think one of the most innovative things that's happening is that the NFL and the American Cancer Society are partnering up for something looking at prostate cancer in the context of what we call impact echo. That is not waiting for people to get to us, but for taking it to those communities, particularly those communities most at risk, for understanding how to screen. There are many other opportunities in the context of the ACS, for example, and with the help of others, are actually going and transporting people, because sometimes what happens is we say, well, if I could, I can't do this, but if I had transportation, well, we're providing that for you. So there are so many things that are actually happening as a result of what you all are doing with, Crucial Catch, with, Sleepwalker, with the NFL, with ACS. But the thing I'm most happy about is that we're finally doing it and not just talking about it, but taking it to the people.
Yeah.
And I think this partnership between the NFL and the American Cancer Society in particular about the impact echo around prostate and prostate screening and early screening is going to make a difference.
And please, make sure you can see the QR code there and take that Defender. It's a great resource here. When we talk about screening for prostate cancer and cancer at all, get to that. You can do it even online, go to NFL.com, but there's the QR code there, and check out the Defender there, and just go through there and take a look at that. It's a great resource. I know we have just a few more moments. Questions from the audience? Anyone have any questions from the audience? We'll take those. Yes, ma'am. And for whom? So she wants to know what can she do to spread the word, especially to the young folk in their 20s, getting the word out about prostate cancer.
First of all, I'm going to just say kudos. The fact that you're even thinking about it is important. Second, I think that you're talking about it to people in their 20s makes sense like this, to sort of say that as an African American, we tend to get most cancers, not just prostate cancer, breast cancer, colorectal cancer at early ages. So the more you can talk about it, the more we normalize it. Because what's happening, I think, with us, with this whole story that we hear about cancer, is we didn't normalize it. It was a bad thing to talk about cancer as opposed to, what are you talking about? It's a good thing to be able to talk about it, because once you figure it out, you know where to go, you know how to get screened, and in fact, you even know that people can treat you. And by the way, when all else has failed, you can talk about it. We understand that now clinical trials ain't a trial. When you've reached the end of the road of the standard of care, most of us don't know that there's something called clinical trials, which is an extension of health, right? We talk about women now for 18 years running half marathons. That's because of the clinical trials. So the reality is, but our communities are like, not even, every time we say that, we're gonna shut down. Having people like you talk about it to normalize is one of the best things we can do as a people and one of the best things we can do as a country. So I appreciate you.
Especially to tap into that kind of, IG, TikTok, getting those reels there, because that is their world is
The
looking at those
TikTok ain't
reels.
actually always right, but I'm just saying.
Putting together something like that about getting checked is always key. We appreciate that. That's great. Any more questions from the audience? Yes, sir, right here.
This is a question for the doc. So, with your research, what have you found more as the cause? Is it a hereditary, genealogical thing, or is it a diet thing? Because you're saying it hit a lot of African Americans in certain communities, especially in the poor communities. We all know that they don't have access to really good food. They eat really poorly. So, in your research, in your findings, what has been the cause more, food or genealogy?
Yep. So I'm gonna get deep on you real quick, but I'm gonna keep it quick. Both. The truth of the matter is, by not having places where we can actually get those fresh fruits, changes our microbiome. By having areas of high stress, it changes something called epigenetics. That means that the genetics and the good genes you're born with can get all twisted because of the stress you have in your life. So that issue about sleep and all the rest of that is a part of the mix. The other thing is sometimes our genes, right? BRCA1, all the rest of these things. As I said, that prostate cancer, the reason why you want to add someone in your family and around Thanksgiving is a good time. Family secrets kill, y'all. So around Thanksgiving, talk about our health would be important, because if you knew you had a couple uncles, it would actually sort of say, nope, I'm not going to go with the regular screening guidelines. I'm going to get screened early, at least check it. So it's both, right? It's an and conversation. It's take care of yourself, get your sleep, do your meditation, eat right, get all these other things. And by the way, understand that when it's your turn to get medicine, you know, we talk about gripping up reality, grip up reality. Those things do help. So it's a combination of all those.
It's a great question. Yes, sir.
Rooster, 2 months from having the surgery, and making my way. Nothing dramatic in the grand scheme of things. Happy to be alive.
Yes.
Not so much a question, but more a comment. I think that we should have. I have a 14-year-old son. My great-grandfather, my grandfather, and my father all had prostate cancer. So every one of us younger in the state, in life. And so my son is looking at the reality of potentially being diagnosed, if he is or if he's not, in his early 30s. And so he's 14 now. And so having a conversation like this earlier and being exposed to it, I think it's something that we should think about how to make that happen. So that it's not all, the family to have that conversation, but to have a safe space like this. And I wish he was here with me to hear this.
And listen, I hope that surgery goes well. Best piece of advice I could give you is, stay active, get active. I'm sure your doctor told you that because it will help you snap back sooner after surgery. And to his point, again, so a lot of times that has to do with, the genes and hereditary. Your father's always the benchmark. If dad has it, you really need to be checked at the age of 35 if you're black at this time. Will and I had a discussion. His father passed away from it, his uncle passed away from it. I told Will, maybe time for you to start getting that PSA test now. But that's not the guideline. The guideline, generally, they say 40. But if you've got dad, uncle, you better be looking at 35 to start getting that PSA test.
And know what the symptoms are. Not only the test, but find out what the symptoms are. Like when I found out that having an orgasm was super painful, I wasn't telling anybody, but when I realized I have a voice, I could maybe help a lot of people, I started telling guys, hey man, if you have an orgasm and it hurts, something is wrong. Go see your doctor, man. Because when it happened to me, I thought, well, it's been a while, It's been a little while.
Hey man, don't touch your wife like that. What are you talking about? Miss Hayes looking like, what's she trying to talk about? It's been a while. I'm tired, I work.
But you got to talk. You really do. Get yourself educated. And I think most guys who've had prostate cancer, or probably any kind of cancer, they they don't want to talk about it. They feel a little bit odd talking about it. But when you realize that you are making a difference in people's lives, I think that might change your
Amen.
attitude and give you the courage to go ahead and start talking about it.
You're right about that. Absolutely. Thank you for that, Mike. You know, before we wrap this up, I want to kind of honor somebody that's here tonight. Special man here in our audience, Dave Durbin. Dave, will you stand? In fact, Dave, you know what? Brother, come on up here. These people need to see you. Dave is recently diagnosed stage 4 colon cancer. He's going to start his treatments tomorrow.
Oh, I've been doing stuff, appointment after appointment. Haven't really started a treatment yet, but hopefully it starts tomorrow.
Yeah, man, these people need to see you. See him right there. Lifelong Raiders fan, you see he's got the colors on. In fact, he was part of the construction company that built the new stadium for the Raiders. Dave did. And I just want you to know that everybody in this room, we're family with you tonight, so we're in this fight with you. We wish you nothing but the best. And you know what? The one thing you can say about the NFL is the NFL cares. So with that, Dave, we wanted to surprise you with one of your favorite Raiders. We're going to give you 2 tickets to the Super Bowl. Dave loves Brandon, so we thought Brandon would be only appropriate. Brandon, give him 2 tickets to the Super Bowl. I know that your son, your wife is here, but it's contingent on that you have to take me to the Super Bowl. I'm your guest. So look, we're going to the Super Bowl together. I'm sorry, but we're going to the Super Bowl together. So congratulations, man, my brother.
Thank you.
Congratulations. And look, keep up the fight. Keep up the fight. Yes. We want to thank all of you for coming out. We're going to thank the American Cancer Society, the National Football League, Sleep Number. Thank you for this Crucial Catch Live, this important, very important night and candid discussion about cancer and prostate cancer. And more importantly, will you thank my panel? These men. Dr. Mike, Rashad, Will, Brandon. Please give him another round of applause. One more thing?
Just one thing, man. I'm a huge man of action, and when you said that, I really want to do this real quick. How many men in here have not got tested yet? Stay after. That's how we get each other. We need to hold each other accountable.
Yeah.
And when you talk about it, don't just leave. You got to apply these things. So let's just stay after. We're going to chat and figure out how to get it done.
One team, one fight, right?
One team, one fight.
One team, one fight.
I want to thank all of you. Don't forget, try the Defender, the QR code there. It's a great resource. Again, thank you, American Cancer Society. Thank you, National Football League. And thank you, Sleep Number. And thank you for joining us here for this candid conversation about prostate cancer and Crucial Catch. Have a great night.